Hey, we are so glad you have decided to join us on the Grow Roots podcast today. I have got my darlings, Alecia Warneke and Kari Oakley-Miller here. How are you, ladies?
Woot!
Good.
All right, so we
Good.
just, I don't know if this one's as exciting as talking about the girlfriend. That was a hot mess, wild topic that we talked about with Lauren and good stuff to talk about. So now we're moving on, though. Guess what's coming around the corner? The holidays. So today's we have titled Impending Doom, the holidays,
Dun, dun,
because
dun.
I think it's one of the most complicated things about merging families or about creating your new nuclear family is how do you deal with the holidays? How did you guys deal with the holidays as a young married couple? Alecia?
Well, we had it pretty easy the first couple years because we moved out of the country. So we lived in Germany and it was great. We did whatever we wanted. We had Thanksgiving and Christmas with whoever we wanted and invited whoever we wanted. And usually the people that you want to hang around with, there really isn't a whole lot of conflict. Otherwise, you stop hanging around them, right?
That was probably a fabulous way to start a marriage, to be honest, without all the
Honestly, I
holiday
say that all the
pressure.
time. It was. That probably was one of the things that really set us up for success, was having to just figure things out on our own without anybody else butting in.
And you
Yeah.
just being like a couple, your new family, like not
Yeah.
having to please everyone else because you could just
Right.
settle in as the two of you.
Yeah.
Or probably the three of
It was
you.
really great.
But
Right.
still, yeah.
If any of my future daughter-in-laws are listening, don't get any ideas. I mean, do. It's okay. You can move out of the country if you want to.
Absolutely you
You
I'm just
can.
kidding, just kidding. Move
Go
move
live
to
your
Europe.
big
Yes.
Great,
life.
great.
Go.
Yes,
Okay,
you
Kari, how
can.
was it for you? Because you also moved, not out of the country, but you did move
We did. So in a
across
sense,
the country.
not
Yeah.
as much as Alicia, but it wasn't an option to go to one house one time and in the morning and then you go to the next the other. So for the first couple years after moving to Georgia from Colorado, we would go to Colorado for Christmas.
Okay.
We would. And that, as the more kids we got and it was just too hard, so we stopped doing that. But it was Kurt's family. We were here. We were here for Thanksgiving and it just is what it is. There wasn't an option to go anywhere else. Just
Yeah.
flying to Colorado.
Yeah, we had in my husband's family, Thanksgiving was the bigger holiday. So we would go to his family for Thanksgiving, and Christmas was the bigger holiday for my family. So we would do Christmas every year. So until I think we had 3 children, and the third was quite a few years old, we hauled all the Christmas
Jeez.
every year to my parents 3 hours away and we're there for like a week. And it was exhausting. And I remember the day that I told my parents we are no longer coming, and you would have thought I stabbed them in the heart. They were distraught that we were not coming for Christmas, and we didn't. But it took a long time to get there. And a lot of it was out of guilt, if I'm being honest. I felt guilty for not being there. I had a brother and sister a lot younger than me, and I wanted to show up for them as well. So I was ruled by guilt. I'm still ruled by guilt. If you want to get me, girls, just make me feel guilty. I'll do whatever you want. So, that really got me into that was our holiday for a long time. I don't want that for my children. So I have been very clear from the get-go. I want you here. Of course, I want you here. But but you don't have to be here. Let's look at why. Let's look at, again, both sides, because that's what I love about what we do. We talk about both sides. We want you to think about the mother-in-law and her perspective in this. And we're going to talk about our sweet daughters-in-law and their perspective. So first, let's talk about us. What do you think is happening in the mind of a mother-in-law around the holidays?
I mean, I kind of do that now. I have this fantasy of having everyone together under the same roof. Like, there's no place on earth I would rather be than in the house or in the place where all my kids are and playing games together. It's like this whole magical thing. And then if somebody's missing from that, it affects that dream, that fantasy. It does when somebody's
Sure.
missing. So innocent, yes, I just want everybody to be together, but that can easily take a turn to, like you were talking about, of guilt, and certainly don't want to do that. So that's
Yeah.
where I'm coming from. I want everybody. I love it. I love seeing them all talk to each other. I want to feed them all. I want all the grandkids, cousins to be playing together. It's this magical fantasy land that I'm creating in my own brain.
Do you think that's an extension of just being a mom? I mean, do you think it's because as a mom, that's how it was, and so you don't want to let go of how it was when the kids were little?
I mean, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think so. I think we get caught up in our role and what holidays looked like when they were all little. I mean, and if you had big traditions, then you imagine those traditions continuing. Alicia, what about you? What do you think it is for the mother-in-law?
Meaning like what?
What's her idea? Where's she coming from when she's approaching the holidays? Where is she coming from?
I mean, I think that, yeah, she probably feels like she's losing part of her family or even just losing the newly created family. Like I feel like maybe she's just coming from the perspective that she's just afraid she's going to be cut off.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that, again, with the traditions, I was just thinking, we do the boxes instead of stockings. I've mentioned it before that I take a shoe box and wrap it up and fill it
Hmm.
like, and because my parents did it, my grandparents did it. So I continue it along. So I just assume my children are going to do it. And they don't all do it. Some do stockings. And I was like, you're not like this has gone on for how many generations? You're not going to do the boxes? I find myself getting like super what? But it's definitely their right to do the boxes or not do the boxes, I guess. It's their right. But
Uh-huh.
I do think it's that because we are so, or for me, it's I'm like you, Carrie, I do have this fantasy of the holidays. I freaking love Christmas. And my idea of Christmas is chaos and everybody playing charades or,
Mhm.
singing karaoke or, last year I remember we were dancing in the kitchen like fools. I mean, I love it. But not all the kids were here. And does it lessen the experience if not all the kids are there?
I mean, because we both have big families, I think it's, maybe if you only had 2 kids, it would be different, but
Right.
we have so
We have a
many.
million. Yeah.
Yeah, and it actually what I've noticed is how even now we have certain holidays and some are there and some aren't, how that time with that 1 child or 2 is more because there's not all these people around, so that's a different perspective. It's like, who is there?
Mhm.
And more time with them instead of, "Oh, we're missing out," or, "Hey, I guess we'll just settle for who can come." It's, "No, then we do get to spend more time with the people that are there." So that could be a different perspective.
Yeah, and celebrate that. I think just reminding daughters-in-law, if you're listening to this, I think that it is a tough time for the moms, for your mother-in-law to let go of the traditions, let go of the having everyone around the Christmas tree in their Christmas pajamas, let go of making the big meal and to turn that over. I think it's a little emotional if I'm being honest. I
Yeah,
as much as
100%.
yeah, go ahead, Alicia. Anything else on that?
No, I concur. It's very
I
emotional.
just
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanna help you understand. I think, again, after seeing The Girlfriend, so much is misunderstood, so much as you take what you imagine they're thinking and you act upon that. And I think for some, you're thinking, "My mother-in-law just wants control around the holiday. She just wants us to be there because it's her holiday and it's her." And I'm like, "Well, but it's probably because of this, or you might not know that for Christmas it was the one time, or, maybe instead of assuming, just like we've said with every other topic, get curious with your mother in law and invite her in, as you said, Alicia, a couple weeks ago, invite her in to be a part of it. Maybe you're going to host. Do any of your kids host the holidays instead of you hosting? Have you moved to that?
So Andrew, our oldest, Andrew and Essa have been hosting Christmas, which has been great. It was a little kind of weird at first or whatever, but the whole thing was weird, right? Because we didn't have any family here. So I created all these traditions, like a bunch of them that just
Yeah.
we would all do. It went from like Christmas Eve to, the Nutcracker and going to see the Christmas story, Christmas Eve, and then coming back and pajamas and out to eat, and then Christmas Day, and then we'd make a turkey, and then we'd go out to watch a movie because Santa always brought movie tickets. And then the next day after, we would go and spend all the money that they got, and we'd do like a whole family shopping. So there was it was almost like if I said, "Hey, I want to keep our traditions," like there was no room for anything
Right.
else
Mhm.
because we didn't have like we just typically stayed where we were for Christmas. If people wanted to come visit us, then they just kind of hopped in with our stuff. But like waking up Christmas morning, if when Andrew's not there, it's like, well, that's kind of weird, right? Do we still put a stocking up for him? Is he gonna be mad if he doesn't have a stocking? Like, I mean, he doesn't
Right.
live here, but, like, do okay, now do we it was just like we had to just kinda figure it out. But Andrew, to answer your question, as a host, they do Christmas morning, where their kids wake up and they do their family thing, and then they go to her family's house after that, and they open up gifts with her family. No, wait. Then we come over. I guess they do it and then we come over because her family lives close as well. And then we do like the Warneke family where we all open up stuff.
I
Okay.
think you're hitting
Yes.
on something really, and you were talking about it earlier, of it doesn't have to always like when the kids get married, boom, that Christmas, however you handle it is how it's gonna be for the rest of your life. Like, that's not it. Like, we I feel like this is such a good you brought this up earlier, Kathy, of talking about how the mother-in-laws, like, it is something that we've always done. We've had these traditions. Maybe giving us time and understanding as a whole new family and they have their new family that we just all need some time. So just because that first Christmas, you're spending it with his family doesn't mean that's how forever it's gonna be. We just need some time a little bit to give us some time to let go of that, and maybe it can be a gentle, right? Like, "Okay, this Christmas, we're gonna still do this. Next Christmas" like, it doesn't have to be and every year, just like you were talking about, Alicia, maybe just paying attention and reassess. Is this working? Is this not? And you asked that question, we're a good example. We used to do the Hiawassee, the cabins. Well, they closed. They told us the beginning of this year, "We're done. We're not doing it anymore." We sold them.
Wow.
So that
Oh, the
tradition is
cabins piece.
over. Yeah, where in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, it's so magical. We get to do this every year, and here's how it's gonna be forever and ever." Well, that's done now.
Mm.
I asked Kayla now that they have a house in Athens, "Hey, would you guys wanna host the Oakley sibling Christmas, New Year's Day?" Because it turned out that those dates we were doing Hiawassee weren't working for people anyway. It wasn't great. So just
Mhm.
reassessing, reevaluating, how's everybody feeling? How can we make this work? Can y'all make New Year's Day? Yes, nobody works that day anyway. Everybody already has it off. So New Year's Day is great. We're just gonna do that. So just I feel like giving everybody a little bit of time, giving us times as mother-in-laws to let go gently, slowly. We'll get there, and then to just reassess. Okay, what's good for us? What works for you guys? How are we feeling about it? And figure it out.
And what I love about that, Carrie, is New Year's Day. I love that you're okay that it doesn't have to be the day. I have so many
Mhm.
friends who are like, well, if they can't come on Christmas Day, I mean, that's just not good enough. Or Christmas Eve. We always do Christmas Eve at our church. And if they can't be a part of that, and I know last year was one of our smoothest Christmases. And again, I mean, I've got, I don't know how many people, we have a lot of people. 20 people we're
Yeah.
trying to see around the a lot. And so last year we broke it up. We went to Atlanta and saw some children over a weekend, spent some time with them. We met another couple later and had dinner with them. We had some kids come home and were here Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I mean, it was several different celebrations during December and it was lovely because no
Mm,
one was stressed.
mhm,
My son and daughter-in-law that has all the children, all 6 kids, they came the weekend before Christmas, so we got to spoil just them, and then
mhm,
they went back and had Christmas at their house. Anyway, it was fabulous because the expectation was it doesn't have to be Christmas Eve. It doesn't even have to be Christmas Day. It can be New Year's Day. It can be December 15th. It can even be October if that's when it needs to be. But the point is that you are, just like you said, flexible. You're willing to change every year. I think that's the hang up too, is that every year we've done it this way. Every year
mhm.
has to be this way. I think you're setting yourself up for a lot of upset people when you fall if you're the mother-in-law and you demand that.
Well, Kath,
I don't
talk into that a little bit. You grew up with that. How did you feel as a mom, taking all the kids, taking all the stuff when you were there? Were you like, "Okay, we're good, we're here," or was there resentment?
I
Was
think the
there
first couple of years when the kids were real little and there weren't a lot of presents, it was actually nice because I loved being with my siblings. I enjoyed it, to be honest. But once it got where I'm having to haul presents for everyone and I'm having to pack up the house and leave for a week right around then, I couldn't enjoy our tree, our things. And the kids got older. They didn't want to go. They wanted to be home. I think that we have to recognize as the mothers-in-law that again, we are no longer the queen of this situation. This new family needs time, just like you said, to get their act together. They need time to bond together. They need time to create their own tradition. And instead of you demanding them do your tradition, maybe you say, hey, is there a tradition we want to start together? Is there something
Right.
y'all want to do that we can be a part of? Is it because, we always made cookies the night that we set up the tree, but, maybe we could do cookies together or whatever. Is there something we can do? And I also think one of our best Christmas Eves is when we planned, we've done it a few different times, but we do games and things, something not what we've always done, but it's something that brings those new members of the family in and play charades, or we play that
Fun.
saran wrap game where you have all those things inside and you have to open it with mittens. I don't know if you've ever done that. It's hilarious. But any of those things that just are opportunities to be together and do things together and not again, do the stuff you've always done. I think that stuff is key. And I think, Kari, you've talked about this before of how, when you thought Kayla came in, she was just going to jump in and do the things all the same way. And then you had to learn, oh, wait, she wants to do them differently. Are there any new traditions, Alecia, that y'all have started once those daughters-in-law have joined? Have y'all switched things up?
So we have, because Christmas Eve, like I said before, Christmas Eve used to be, we would go to a church service and then we go out to dinner. And then we come home, they get to open one gift, which was always miraculously pajamas. And then we take
Same.
pictures and
Yeah.
then they go to bed, right? Put out the cookies for Santa, cookies and milk, whatever. And then Jeff and I'd sit by the tree and we'd wrap up everything else after they went to bed. But once everybody was out, we realized nobody's really there on Christmas Eve because they're all doing their Christmas Eve stuff.
Right.
They're doing the same things. They're baking cookies and having their little family time. And so Jeff and I decided to start having a Christmas Eve party. And we just started
I
having
love that.
we don't have to just sit here and be like, oh, it's so sad, or there's lots of people in our neighborhood that, they're empty nesters or whatever that probably aren't doing anything on Christmas Eve. And so we would go to church and then we'd come back to the house and sometimes we still do a Christmas Eve dinner with our family, but sometimes we don't. It just kind of depends on the year. And, we've got one of our sons that's out of town, so it's a little bit harder to plan with him. But we would just have kind of heavy appetizers and stuff. We'd open it up to, friends, anybody in the neighborhood. I mean, we've had people come over before with their kids, and in their kids in tow with pajamas. The kids are having some cookies off the table and mom's having a glass of wine while she lets the kids play with all the other kids that are there and just kind of have some adult time before they have to go back and put them in bed. We've had people come over that have had, relatives in town that weren't kids. And they're like, hey, our neighbors have this open house. Come on. Sometimes people bring food, sometimes they don't. So, I mean, it's just super low key. You can come in pajamas, you can come in shorts, we've had people come in fun, dressy Christmas Eve stuff because that's just what they want to do. And it's awesome. We get to socialize and kind of catch up with people that maybe we don't get to see all the time and spend it like that. Now, we are still pretty much in bed by 9:00. So don't stop by my house after 9:00.
What I love about that is you've done the other thing that we preach often. You got your own life, right? You
Yes.
didn't wait around and invade your kids and their new traditions. You said, you know what? Hey, they're starting something new. Let's start something new too. Let's celebrate where we are in life and we're doing this. So I love that you do that, and I might have to copy you, even though I still do have kids that are not married come home Christmas Eve, but I still might copy
You know
that.
what? But
I'd love
kids
that
are
too.
adults, right? They're getting to be
Yes.
where they're that
Yes.
age, and
Right.
they're not putting pajamas on and going to bed early either.
Yeah,
I was gonna-
this one moment could be a pivotal moment for a mother-in-law. Think about if you're alone or if you make your kids come because your fear is to be alone, that's not a bad thing. You can change it instead of making them feel bad for not coming. Do what Alecia did if you can. But
Yeah.
that's a huge mindset shift right there.
It is. Yeah. And I was going to shift to if you are the daughter in law and you are hosting like some of yours do, maybe one of the things you can do is get your mother in law involved, give her a task. For example, if she makes the best, whatever, pavlova, cornbread dressing, I don't know what she makes great, but whatever she makes great, ask her to make that. Say to her, My gosh, nobody makes peanut butter bark like you
Uh,
do. Can you please make peanut butter bark? There's something about that that says you're needed, you're wanted, your stuff is wanted, what you do. And that little tidbit or throwing that little crumb out to your mother in law could mean
yes.
all the world. Because if my daughter in law, what she does, they love Jeff's, thank goodness it's Jeff's Pavlova. And so she'll say, "Oh, can Jeff make a pavlova?" I'm like, "Absolutely, Jeff can make a
Yeah.
pavlova." Or, "Can y'all bring this?" I think that is, that's extending an olive branch in a way. That's saying, "We want you here. We want you to be involved," instead of like, "Nope, I got it." Because as a daughter-in-law, you're probably pretty proud. You're hosting, you got your
Mhm.
stuff, you're excited, you're probably a little nervous because you thinking she's gonna judge you. But I think if you bring her in or say, "Hey, if you have time to show up a little bit early and help me with XYZ because yours is the best, or can we make that together? Or can you
Mm,
teach me to make that?"
there you go.
That would be great too. So, all those little things you can do that bring y'all together in
Mhm.
these moments of the holidays, I think help so much. Let's move a little bit to the presents. That's always an issue. How do we handle, as the daughter in law, the presents that our sweet, well intended in laws and parents, I'd say all grandparents, buy the kids? How do we set that boundary as a daughter in law? What have you done? Or
Well,
what have
I
your
think
daughters in law said?
Well,
I wanna know what is the boundary that you're trying to set? Is it you don't want noise toys? Is it your kids have too many toys, please don't get them extra? Is it, listen, we wanna be the ones to get the big items for our kids. We don't want our kids being like, "Oh, grandma and grandpa got us the best thing." Like, what first of all, what is the boundary? And so I think that's step 1 is communicating, like, figuring out what that is for you. And your family. If it's, "Hey, listen, our kids really have enough stuff at our house." I know my oldest daughter-in-law, she says, "You can get them stuff, but it's gonna live at your house." And I'm totally fine with that. Sometimes I just wanna buy the stuff. It's not even about having it at your house, it's the joy that I get shopping for my grandkids and watching them open it. They might play
Yeah.
with it one time, but I'm not gonna know if they play with it at their house, so let them have the toys at your house or
I love that idea. Yeah, because
you
it's
know?
not saying you can't buy them this. It's go ahead, get them all the things you want, just keep it at
Yeah.
your house. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that option.
Yeah.
because I think there is a certain amount of joy that we as grandparents get to shop for the grandkids. And my love language is not even gifts. That's not my language, but doggone if I don't love going Christmas shopping for those guys and seeing stuff and be like, "Oh my gosh, Jack's gonna love this. It's this huge dinosaur. Look at all these things, blah blah." I mean, I love it. I love shopping for it. I love watching him open it. That brings a lot of joy to me. So if I'm being honest, if I have somebody that says to me, "Listen, we don't want you to buy them anything because they just have enough stuff and whatever." I'm gonna wanna honor that, but gosh, that kinda hurts a little. It's kind of a little bit of a joy thief for me. Thoughts on that,
Yeah.
ladies?
I know
Yeah.
for me, I've asked before, "Hey, is there anything you want me to get them? Is there anything they need? Is there anything you want me to get them?" And usually there's fun stuff as well as practical things too.
Yeah,
Uh,
we do that too.
Yeah, I definitely think that having a list ongoing is just helpful, just to ask them, "Hey, can you just keep a list going, an Amazon list, wish list, or something that I can see, or we share a note or something?" Because, you might see something in July you want to buy them. So if she keeps something ongoing, then
that's a
that's
great
super
idea.
helpful. I know last year I bought them a big experience because we had talked about that and I don't think they've used it and it's about to expire. And it was a very expensive experience. And so I'm a little like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that again because that was a failure. But I didn't ask her. No, but I didn't ask her. They
Mm,
had mentioned they wanted to do it, but she did not. I didn't say, "Hey, would y'all like this as your Christmas gift?"
Yeah,
And so I learned a lesson. That was a lot of money that has gone down the toilet, and I will ask from now on before I buy
mhm,
something like that again. I think
mhm.
having that being willing to just say, I mean, I know sometimes you wanna surprise them, and which that was the reason I didn't ask, because I wanted to surprise her because I thought it was so great. But if it's not something they want or need or can use, it's not so great, in my
Mhm,
opinion. So I think the asking is better
for
for
sure.
sure, and to keep that note going.
Yeah, Tommy, I mean, real quick, Tommy did of audio for a karaoke for kids, and it had, like,
Mm.
farmer song and all that, and it was Tommy's voice, and so I got it for Millie.
I
They're like,
got that too.
They're like, "Cool, but no thank you." But it's Tommy's voice. It's Uncle Tommy singing the song on the microphone. And it's like, "Nope, done, out." Like, "All right, we'll keep that one at home then."
Yeah. 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 You'll do it with you. I was going to say, let's talk about the visits. We've got Thanksgiving. We hadn't even talked about that. We've talked mainly about Christmas, but it comes to the visits. And if you are in a situation that's not so happy with your in-laws, but you still go visit them, I would think that the best way to handle that is to communicate with your spouse beforehand.
Clear boundaries. He's the one, he's the gatekeeper, like we said. I like that.
If you can get in the habit of you all having a conversation before and determining the plan as a couple because you are the nuclear unit, you are the nuclear family, and then together you go into the extended family and live out those plans. I think you're going to
Mhm.
have a more successful experience. Any
Agreed, and
more
making
thoughts on
sure
that?
that you're together with your husband on that. You guys gotta be in agreement. If he's like, "I don't know what's the problem, why can't we stay longer? It's my family, we never see them." Just to be sensitive that it is his family, but also if there are clear boundaries that need to be set, stand firm, but just going into it together, I think what you said is really important. You have to be
Well,
on
I
the
mean,
same team.
so one thing that my oldest daughter-in-law does, and I love that she does this. Like if she's got like she's never been the reason that Andrew couldn't spend time with us or his brothers or whatever it is. If we're doing something and he wants to do it, she's always like, "Listen, I've got this planned or whatever, but if you like you go, if
Mm,
you want to, you go. I'm fine with it. I'll even keep the kids or whatever it is. I mean, if he really wants to spend time with his family of origin, I think that's a great. Like, let him go do some stuff. Let him finish watching the football game if you're okay with it, depending on what the family looks like, right? I mean, like Carrie, you had like 5 kids and you had to like take them somewhere and it's like 3 hours away. Like that's not going to work,
mhm,
right? You have to be on the same page. But I mean, if you can make it work, make it work. You know?
Right, if you're in the same town and you can take 2 cars or something
mhm,
like that, but if you're staying at a hotel and maybe it's, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna head on back to the hotel, I'm gonna take a nap because I love to take a nap on Thanksgiving, so I'm gonna go take a nap. You and the
mhm.
kids can take an Uber home, or I'm gonna take an Uber and you bring the kids in the car," or whatever, you know, and be okay with and if you're the mother-in-law, no side eyes if that happens, to
Yeah,
me going,
yeah,
"She always leaves, she just"
right.
she doesn't wanna help clean up probably is why she's leaving. No, maybe because she's raising 3 kids and she's exhausted, and this is the
And
only
you know
day
what?
she
She
gets a
probably
break,
doesn't
so
wanna
she's
clean
gonna
up.
take a
Nobody
nap.
wants to help clean up.
That's true, nobody
I mean,
wants to
stop
clean up.
judging. You don't wanna clean up
Yeah.
either.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I think it's just again, you say this all the time, Alicia, grace and empathy, grace and empathy. I think especially around the holidays, you have got to pour on an extra dose of grace and empathy with clear boundaries with your spouse. And you've got to get into that before it gets to the season and before it gets emotional. That's why we're presenting this early on before Thanksgiving. So you go ahead and have that conversation now. And if you're the mother-in-law listening to this, you also start putting yourself in that place of grace and empathy and recognizing this young girl is so excited about starting her traditions. You be supportive of that. You encourage that. You don't be the Debbie Downer that drags her down
Mhm.
that. So, and every family is different as far as who's hosting or whatever, but wherever you land with grace and empathy and it's going to go a lot better.
Mhm.
What are some practical things, Alicia? What is something we can do as a little small deposit to prep for
I
the
am so
holidays?
glad that you asked, Kathy, because I think a great small deposit that I mean, honestly, the mothers-in-law and the daughters-in-law, you guys can both do this, right? Practice kindness. You don't have to necessarily be somebody's BFF or like just love them to death to be kind to someone. You can be kind to someone that you don't really care to be around or you don't like their personality. You can still be kind. That's not that's not being fake. That is showing the fruit of the spirit. That is being kind.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's lovely.
Yeah, and in the mood of Thanksgiving, even finding something to tell them, "I'm thankful that you did this," or "Thank you that you did this," or
Yeah.
something, gratitude. There's something. Everybody has something.
Right. You can find
Thank
something
you
you,
Mm,
note. Look, I'm full of 'em
yes.
today.
I love that.
mhm,
Write them a thank you note.
mhm.
Bring it to
Yeah.
Thanksgiving and give it to them.
Yeah. I love all of that. We can all work on that for sure. Well, this has
Yes.
been good. I think the holidays can be stressful, and I hopefully it's not going to be full of doom for you. Maybe you can have a plan this year, and that
Mhm.
plan can include kindness and flexibility and grace and empathy. Glad you were with us. If you have not followed us, subscribed, please do that. That helps us. That helps us get recognized, helps us come up in searches. So do that. Follow us on social media. You can send us an email, grayrootspodcast@gmail. If you have some suggestions, you have thoughts for shows. That listen, that's how we come up with these ideas. We
Mhm.
come up from you, things you mention in your comments. We're like, yes, we're going to talk about that. So we are going to be wrapping up this season soon. And so you still got time to send us an email. Thanks so much for being here. Love you, ladies. Glad y'all were here with me. Bye.